Update Show. I'm Titan Isaiah, your host for today, and our show is just packed with awesome stuff for you all. We've got balance, ton of awesome skins, and the reveal of our newest goddess, Baba Yaga. We're super excited, so if we seem a bit more animated than usual, that's why. We're gonna go ahead and kick things off with bonus balance, and here to break things down with me are Ajax and Pond from the design team. How you guys doing?
Doing well. Good to see you.
Yep, doing pretty well.
Awesome. So let's get right into bonus balance that's going to be live next week on April 7th. No items this go around, so we're going to start off with gods, and Camazotz is up first. Screech is going to be seeing a decrease in the physical power buff from Echo.
And nerfing the Zots
Done
already.
with bonus balance is since there was a little bit of
Why is he quiet?
confusion and
Bro, I can barely hear
people
him.
wondering what qualifies as bonus balance, what doesn't, we're trying to pivot it towards being specifically those meta god nerfs, the things that we feel like people are most anxious to have. Like, people generally want us to act quickly and balance in this specific realm. So for this patch, we're going to be doing only meta god nerfs as the bonus balance. And we're also, Isaiah and his team are working on a lot of ways to better clarify and better show and display what types of balance is going to be launching at what days, and I really appreciate you for that. But from the design team, we wanted to approach it well as well, in a little more categorical sense. So that's why you're going to see this bonus balance be a little smaller here, and that's why it is specifically only top played, top picked gods being nerfed.
For sure.
So Camazotz, we saw him get buffed a little while back. We buffed the leap range as well as some other effects, and we've already reverted those other effects, and he's still like an absolute powerhouse in specifically high MMR ranked solo lane and pro play. So now we're reverting him just a little further to make up for how much power that leap range really did. That really had huge effects on Pawn.
Yeah, that definitely does. That changes like the scaling on his 2, it changes the scaling on his heal. Like, that's a big deal that's going to be changing. There's just a lot that this power like augments that is going to just take the edge off of him in the laning phase, take the edge off when you're trying to actually box him in the solo lane.
Next up, we've got Kukulkan, a god that's been kind of resilient to the nerfs that we've kind of been giving him over the past couple patches. We're going to be making some adjustments to Slipstream. We're increasing the cooldown, and we're also decreasing the slow immunity period.
Yeah, Slipstream is one of those abilities that I think for a really long time people were like, oh, it's just a movement ability, but the amount of distance it lets Cuckoo cover, the amount of speed he immediately gets, his ability to close in and get like a one-off on a target, and also the slow immunity that persisted afterwards really allowed him to be slippery and, and slip right through team fights. So we're just increasing the cooldown on that so players have more opportunities to play around it, especially in the late game.
That's a good nerf.
And the slow immunity is being reduced so that you actually can jump on him more quickly with slows and actually slow him down some.
We know some people out there are getting a little fatigued with Kukulkan nerfs. We really did buff him a very large amount through those changes a few months ago, so we're still working to get him back to a good point of balance. Seems like the god's still performing way better than he has historically. He's been pretty resilient to the nerfs, but it is starting to make a statistical impact. Last round of changes did make a pretty good statistical impact. Hopefully this will be the last one we have to touch on him for a little while.
Definitely. All right, next up on the list for bonus balance gods, we've got Persephone. She got a shift in the last update, and we got a lot of community feedback that it actually felt like it was actually a buff. So we're going to be making some changes to Grasp of Death, and we're going to reduce the projectile speed on her ultimate ability.
Yeah, so Persephone in that shift, we saw players essentially be able to use the plants more effectively. That was like the big change, and we did a few nerfs to also tone down some of the damage it did, as well as the damage of the ultimate. After seeing all the numbers and seeing how people are playing with it, it does look like she got a little bit better overall, which is what we were going for. That's what we wanted for the shift, where she was a bit more manageable for players. The kind of complexity and clunkiness of placing plants and utilizing them has been removed. And so with that, we want to make one more adjustment to her ultimate, where it's just really fast. It's sometimes difficult to avoid. We're going to slow it down some so you have more opportunity to react to it coming towards you. If it flies past you, you can get away from the wall that it might collide with a bit. You can get more distance before it actually collides. Just making sure that players have more opportunity to play around the ultimate.
Really, we just want to make it clear we are open to nerfing Persephone. We know that her statistics are on the lower end, but we know that's also because she's difficult. She's incredibly strong at high MMR and at pro play. We're really trying to make sure we balance her for all skill levels. So we're open to nerfing her. I think this is going to be a pretty impactful nerf, especially at those high skill levels.
Awesome. All right, and then last up on the list for gods in bonus balance is Yamoja. Yamoja is going to be
No.
seeing a nerf to Bouncing Bubble. We're
No.
decreasing the magical power scaling, and we are adjusting the slow duration, decreasing that a little bit on that ability.
What are you doing?
Moonstrike, we're decreasing the magical power scaling on the inner damage. And Mending Waters, we are decreasing the magical power scaling on the heal and decreasing the magical power scaling on the shield.
How do you
Yeah,
kill
so a lot
Yamoja,
of kind
but
of
not
like
Persephone?
bruiser-y nerfs, but this does affect support Umoja as well. Just in general, the ability for her to actually throw out a lot of bubble and moon strikes, the ability for her to throw out a lot of the healing and shielding from Mending Waters. Even though she doesn't necessarily build that much power even in the support role, she is getting it from her boots in a lot of cases. She often builds at least one bruiser item. And so this is going to just reduce that time when you're like, if she lands a good stun lock on you, or if she gets a whole bunch of healing out in the team fight, it's just going to be reduced from what it currently is. And the slow adjustment on the bubble also is going to decrease her ability to confirm that follow-up stun chain.
I'm pissed. What I'm happy about.
Yamoja, people felt like we kind of missed an opportunity to nerf her
She doesn't
last
need to be nerfed
update.
more.
The character has been responding well to
Nerf
the
the
nerfs,
two.
just approaching a better point statistically, but we heard a lot of feedback about the character still being really strong. So as Pon kind of mentioned, we really strived in this nerf to make sure we adjusted
That's the last change.
all the different playstyles the Umoja has. We wanted to make sure she was still
What about
nerfed
Merlin?
slightly. Even if you're building full support Umoja, you get
What
a little bit of a
about
nerf here. If you're playing more of a mage Umoja, you're going to see a
Heimdall?
larger nerf here.
All right, well, that wraps it up for bonus balance that's coming your way next week on April 7th. So now that we've got bonus balance changes done, I want to give you guys your first look at all the skins that are coming your way next week. And we're going to kick things off with Murder of Crows Sobek. And this one is looking super awesome.
Love this. Shoutouts to Wolfdog Art for providing this concept.
That's so cool.
This
Yeah,
has
that's
been
pretty
one
badass.
that's kind of been floating around in the community for a long time. So we're super excited. We love working with Wolfdog and just the details and stuff that the art team put into the feathers. He's really looking really creepy.
Also not pictured here, when Sobek's passive triggered, he kind of gets additional armor, like magical glowing armor on him, and there's like a kind of a new armor set on the skin as well. It's pretty cool.
Nice, that's going to be awesome. So this is heading your way in part 2 of Chapter 1 of the Grim Omens event. So we're moving right along to the second skin from Chapter 1 of Grim Omens that we're going to be looking at today, and that's going to be the Goat Kernan.
Frisbee!
Oh my gosh.
And he is stylish.
Does he actually throw it as a basic attack?
Yes, it's finally a Frisbee skin. I don't know if the Smite universe knows this, but I've been playing Ultimate Frisbee for 10, 15 years. I started the Ultimate Frisbee game at Hirez Studios, where we have 10 to 20 developers playing Frisbee every week, and I'm so stoked for this.
Yeah, this one is looking awesome. This is another addition to our Smitetropolis universe. Shout out to Inna Bunch for creating the initial art and the theme for us. And I love these skins because they give a modern day take on all the gods and gives them a new personality. It's really fun.
Yeah, there's so many like little background bits in the card
Oh, yeah, I
art.
do see Anubis. And Kernanos is assuming a little bit more of a hipster vibe, in the universe. Like Thoth was a geek, and Anubis was a jock, and then here we have Kernanos. He's going to be a little bit more of your hipster, or even maybe a hippie, depending on where you draw the line.
He is definitely the GOAT, as the skin is aptly named for that. And speaking of Chapter 1
Isaiah,
of the
no!
Grim Omens event, we want to remind you guys about MedTech Aphrodite, the chapter reward for Chapter 1. If you unlock all 6 skins in the Chapter 1 chest, you get this skin for free.
Yeah, also to be noted, if you did the buy all, you will get this skin at April 7th. That's going to be the way we're doing the rewards going forward. You won't get the individual chapter rewards right away, but you will get them as soon as they launch. This skin, we really pushed ourselves to make some more radical changes to Aphrodite's armor and add more assets to her art and to her silhouette, because we've been getting that feedback.
That's cool.
I think
It just
people are
reminds
really
me of
excited for
Overwatch.
it.
Yeah, this one's going to be super awesome. Well, that wraps things up for Grim
Free.
Omens Chapter
Free.
1. We're moving right along, and next up we've got Knight of Storms, Susanna.
Oh my gosh, he looks so good.
This one's amazing. The model is like better than the no, not better. They're both amazing, of course, but just the model turned out so well. It fits Susanoo so well. He's like the bold, daring adventurer, and it gives him such a unique take from his other skins and his feel. I love this one.
Well, it looks
Did
like
he
the
just win a bar
YouTuber.
fight?
Yeah, I know, right? His outfit is
James
like
Charles.
super fire. I wanna play the game
That
that
looks
he is
like
the
James
main
Charles,
character
bro.
of.
Right. It does look like he did just in this card art. He just won the bar fight. There's the people behind him that are like, oof, shouldn't have fought that guy.
They literally put a James Charles skin in the
he's
game.
like, hey, I'll buy you a drink.
Exactly, yeah. Just buy you a drink with the money I just stole from you. So this one's going to be available April 7th.
That definitely does. Don't tell me it doesn't.
We've got one more skin that we want to talk about that's heading your way next week, and that is Pharaoh's Curse Cabrakan.
Oh yeah, big community win here. Shoutouts to Rob Draws for the concept. Players really showed up and upvoted this skin into the stratosphere. And cross Pantheon skins can be a little tricky to execute, but Cabrakan with his giant shields turning into a sarcophagus just made a really strong connection for the Egyptian crossover. So I'm loving how this skin turned out.
My favorite Kali and Chalk skins are actually the Norse Viking crossover event, and so like these Egyptian crossover, like the Izanami skin as well. I love this theme.
Yeah, I love when we get to kind of reimagine like characters that have been in the Smite universe for a long time into a different pantheon.
And I like his weapons here because it's probably sick when they slam, but
definitely kind of a hint back to the
it looks
Egyptian
kind of awkward.
mythology available in the crossover.
Like he's
chest
too
coming
big
away
for
on April 7th.
the
So
mummy
that wraps it up
shit.
for all the skins coming out in the 7.3 bonus update, as we're calling it now. But we've got some community and esports news that we want to talk about too. If you guys missed it, I'm not sure how you missed it, but we had a birthday last week and we are still partying. Lots of stuff going on in game.
Every day, new free reward, right?
Yes, so we've got lots of community created avatars and jump stamps. All you have to do is log in and play a game and you get those rewards for free. Every day there's a different reward, but if you miss a day, then you miss the reward. So be sure to log in and keep playing those games.
Not even holding them? Was he not?
The last thing we have up for you guys is the SPL start date. Got announced a couple weekends ago. As you guys know, we had to push things back a little bit just due to the concerns of COVID-19, and we held off because we wanted to make sure that all of our players and staff remained safe. But SPL is now kicking off on April 4th, and we're actually kicking the season off for the first few weeks with online play. So same SPL, but the players are going to be playing from home. Be sure to head over to the Esports and Live Streams Hub to lock in your votes to get those viewer points. And if you want to check out the schedule, you can head over to our new fancy Smite Pro League website. I know it's been a long time coming. Players have been wanting a new website, and it is super awesome. So head over to smiteproleague.com for all of your SPL info.
Is this it?
Finally.
I know, right? I've been fiending for some esports, and the SEC and SOC have been holding me over for a little bit, but there's nothing like the SPL, so we're super excited.
Those have been really fun to watch, honestly. Yep. I'm really enjoying them. And the voting page on the new esports tab is amazing. I love how you can see how people are voting. You can kind of see who the favorites are. Maybe we'll have some upsets. Kick off the season, you never really know who's going to have the meta figured out. Like, it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, I'm pumped to see how things pan out in our first professional sets of the season. So that wraps it up for community and esports news. We've still got a whole lot of show left for you guys. We'll be right back after this break.
Oh my God.
Time for some fun!
Am I starting to look handsome?
Looking good. That's rather fetching, don't you think?
Oh, look at the little girly man. Where are you going? Stick around. Your time has come. Just you and me.
There's my light, dressed every day. His well-known eyes makes me, oh my God. How come I've never felt like this until his kiss, singing, oh my God.
Welcome back, everybody. Dream Deities headed your way soon on the Ouya. Make sure to check that out. You would be an absolute fool not to. I don't know about you guys, but I am definitely ready to ooh-woo on the Ouya. So we're going to kick things off with the Witch of the Woods update, with some Project Olympus updates. What do you got, AJ?
So the good things that everyone's going to really notice right now is that clans have been disabled. We're doing this to reduce a lot of stress on Smite's backend servers. So, there's a lot of processes that are running with notifying people when their clanmates are logging on, logging off, queuing up, things like that. Just taking all of that away temporarily is really helping with the high influx of players we're having due to everyone being, staying home. We're also going to be adjusting certain queue times, so you might see queues go up or down a minute or two. It's being done so that queues don't all fire at once. We adjusted this matchmaking to a timed queue system. This is done to improve matchmaking and to give players a little bit more consistency, but it does cause tons of matches to fire all at once, which is really tough on our servers, so we're adjusting that. There's a lot of other things we did. Isaiah wrote up a really nice post about it on Reddit, where people can go read more, right?
Yes, I wrote up a post a couple days ago. It's still pinned on the front page of Reddit right there at the top. If you guys want more information on what we've done to kind of help ease strain on servers and plans that we have moving forward. Our ops team is continually monitoring things, and they're working around the clock to make sure that we get things stable for you guys.
It's been a tricky time right now for everyone, that's for sure. So thank you for your patience through all this.
Yeah. Definitely. All right, let's get moving right along to Project Olympus. With the launch of 7.4, we've got some improved anti-toxicity measures headed your way.
Yeah, I've been working with the design team a lot, specifically Hirez Fish, and then Ponpon's been helping out as well. We really want to continue to improve Smite's behavior policies. The first thing we're doing right now is we're increasing the punishments for hate speech or real life threats. First time offenders are now going to be, if you're confirmed by support, so this means you'll be manually reviewed by one of our support employees. They will be dishing out 7-day bans for the first offense and perma bans for repeat offenses. Those used to be a little too soft. I think we really need to be tougher on people there. This type of language is just not what we want in the game. If you're going to talk like that, don't play Smite. It's that simple.
Definitely.
We're also doing some more tech improvements to make sure we can find players who are causing problems. We're improving the automated detection of players who AFK, as well as intentional feeders. All of this is to help the support team make sure they can find the information they need when they're investigating an account. Sometimes these gameplay things can be difficult to judge, and it takes a lot of time for a support member to go look at them individually. So we're just improving the tools they have on the back end to have the right data they need to find these people.
I'm going to get banned.
All right, next up, esports and live streams. We're going to be adding some progress tracking and a notification for the weekly points reset.
Yeah, this is going to help you keep track of how close you are to earning your cap of points for the week, and sounds like when it's going to notify you when the points reset for the week.
All right, next up, we're going to be doing some changes to the Learn tab. We're actually revising a bunch of videos and streamlining
Weekend baby race, so we improved our band.
Yeah, this is a big one. We are doing this the company-wide, and of course we, funny enough, we were working through it on the Paladins team was working through it, and everyone on Smite was like, oh my gosh, we need that. Why don't we have that? And the answer is we're getting it really, really soon. We were right after them. No big deal, nothing to worry about. But yeah, all those videos like you kind of saw on the Paladins team, I know that a lot have been discussing it out in the Smite community. All that stuff is coming to Smite. It's going to be coming in throughout the PTS time. So expect those videos to stream in a little one at a time as we upload them, or and it's getting tricky working from home and uploading this update. Maybe some of the videos might not make it into the game right at first, but we're going to be updating all of those, the full suite of them. They're just going to come in as they come in.
Yes, our video team has been putting in a ton of work on those. Last time I checked, I think it was around 30 new tutorial videos for Smite that are going to be super helpful.
Wow,
that's good.
That's a lot.
Yeah. All right, and then last up for Project Olympus, we've got a user interface update. We're going to be updating the lighting sections on the God screen, Order lobby, and Chaos lobby, just to kind of make things look a little bit more, make them pop a little bit better.
This is like, purely aesthetic, but I'm really excited for this. We have had some inconsistent lighting or some older types of lighting all throughout the client side. So everywhere in the main client UI where you're browsing gods, you're picking and banning, etc. The lighting is very different from scene to scene and on god to god, and it makes for some confusing visuals, and makes for some visuals that don't look so good, or makes for ones that just don't look like what the character really looks like when you're playing the game. So we've changed the lighting on all of those. Really makes the 3D models look so much better in the UI. I'm really excited about this one.
Yep. And then last but not least for user interface, we're adding % penetration to the stats screen in-game.
Hey, finally.
Of course, all the changes and shifts we did in Season 7 for putting a cap on % pen and caring more about it.
Buy
now you'll be
all
able
the
to see
G-Fuel
how
right
much
now.
% pen you have and how close you are to the cap.
Most definitely. All right, that wraps it up for Project Olympus. Now let's get into the balance changes that are heading your way with the Witch of the Woods update. we're going to kick things off with some game mode changes. And the first change is actually for all modes. Jungle camp timers are now going to appear on the minimap for all camps at the start of the match.
This is a huge quality of life change. This is really nice. You can tell really clearly which buffs are going to spawn at what time as soon as you load into a map on any game mode, especially helpful on maps like Conquest, where things spawn at a little slightly different timing at the beginning of the game, as well as
Is it just the initial spawn that there's a timer for?
I'm
so
so
like 20 seconds?
Feature. It is really nice.
Yeah, especially on Joust, that red buff, I get lost there all the time where I'm like, oh, we're
if
going
it's
to
just
wait
the initial
fight, and
spawn,
I see the
that's
enemy
fine.
team rotate over there. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to be late. So seeing that's going to be great.
Yeah, now you can track it really well.
Yes, this should be a huge quality of life change for the start of the match. I'm super excited to hop in the games and check it out. Next up for game modes, we've got Conquest, and we've got a big change here. Invaders Curse. Ajax, I'm going to let you take the reins on this.
Yes!
So this is interesting. We're talking about this before we've seen any pro play, but
Please.
we've been in
What
a
is
lot
it?
of discussions with a lot of pro players.
Gimme.
And we have been clearly made to understand that invading is still a very strong strategy, especially invading where your support is just harassing and trying to slow down the jungler.
Bitch!
So we made a few changes in the beginning of this season to try to address invading, and our goal is to not overdo it at first, right? We wanted to do some
This
smaller
is an
changes,
April
give
Fool's joke?
players ways to
I'm
defend
fucking
themselves
breaking
through
something.
hog and awards, make sure that they have ways to counter the invade before we just go and do something extreme. So those changes were maybe a little too subtle because now we are seeing that it's still happening, and we want to make sure that we prevent it. We are adding a new feature to the Conquest map called the Invader's Curse that is a refreshing debuff area near the speed buff and back harpies camp. And if you enter that area as an enemy god, so if you cross the map and enter it if you enter your own side of the map, you're fine. But if you cross the enemy's side into that area, you'll see some visual effects there, and you will be debuffed with 30% reduced healing. That'll include potions, even at the beginning of the game. 30% reduced movement speed and 30% reduced attack speed.
Let's go!
So this is a pretty heavy-handed change that we really want to stop this type of invading. Now, we hear that there's other invades happening, sometimes blue buffs, having 2v2 fights, and sometimes purple buffs. And those invades are actually causing some really interesting fights where certain players are actually, fighting
Everyone's
or
just gonna
dying or
invade
getting
purple
first
now.
blooded or stealing a camp or whatever. That's pretty interesting. We're more
Not my
open to that
problem.
being part of the map, but the part where support is literally just harassing a jungler and throwing away their own game progression just to slow down another class, we find that is where we draw the line. So we're willing to make a pretty intense change here, and this is what we have decided to do.
Yeah, this 30%
Fuck
reduced
you,
healing,
Guardian
movement speed, and attack
bitches!
speed makes it difficult to follow the jungler, especially once they get speed
Fuck with me
buff.
now, I wanna kill
It
that
makes it
ass,
very
boy.
difficult to box and trade effectively. So if the
He's
jungler
not
tries to just
trolling,
turn
you
and
would
try
not
and
do
kill
this to
you,
me.
He probably has a really good chance of doing it. And this area is relatively large. You have to walk through it to basically get to speed or get to back harpies. So if
You guys don't
overcommit
understand.
and realize, oh no,
This
I
is
have to
every
get out of
scrim.
here, you have to go through
I
all that
never,
area with that
ever get to
debuff
do
that
anything
persists
level
for a
1.
long time afterwards. It's if you're gonna try and invade, it's gonna
I'm
be
2
pretty much a
months
death
of
sentence
just getting my
walking
ass
in there.
beat.
And just,
Like
this will
Fafnir's.
only be active at the very beginning of the match, like the first 1 minute right now. So this will go away. It's really just to make sure the jungler gets that clean start.
Yeah, it's just in the beginning.
Yes, I know there's a lot of community frustration
Fuck
around
yourself,
the
Guardians.
invade meta in quotation marks towards
No,
the
it's
end
just
of last
just the
season,
initial
and we
part of the
really
game, I
just want
believe.
to kind of discourage that very early support invading on speed. So hopefully these heavy-handed changes have an effect, and we'll see a deterrent.
Go
from
back
that.
to your fucking duo
Next up,
lane,
we are going to
you
talk about
bitch ass
Joust. And
support
Joust
ass
has
bitch.
A lot of changes
Get the
here.
fuck off
and
my
I'm
speed
gonna
buff.
just kind of read through. There's some changes to lane minions where we're increasing the max HP, adding some XP reward scaling there. Buff camps overall looks like they're getting a huge buff in base HP. Along with the Phoenix and Titans. AJ, do you kind of want to go over some of the goals for these changes for Joust?
Yeah, so we've been carefully watching Joust since the Season 7 launch, and we've been collecting a lot of feedback and a lot of data and looking for ways to tweak it to make it even more fun. So first of all, we're addressing a few artistic and thematic issues. So we're going to do some lighting and color adjustments on the map for people's appreciation of the art. We're also going to be adjusting the actual size of the middle lane, making it a little wider.
Now, if they buff
A lot
Assassin's
of people felt
Blessing,
constrained there.
then we'll know it's April Fool's.
We also had an issue
None
where
of it's real.
minions were only
Or speed
increasing.
buff.
So, a lot of our minions and jungle camps now have a feature where they scale up in their tankiness or their rewards. This was happening only every 3 minutes on Joust, so now it's going to be happening every 1 minute. That means their tankiness is going to ramp up a lot faster. So then there's a lot of other changes here, but really these all come together towards a few key goals, which one of the main goals was we wanted to make it harder for people to take essentially the Tower, the Phoenix, and the Titan all in one push. So what you're going to see here is pretty big buffs to the health of the Titan and the Demon King. So that's going to make it harder to do all these objectives.
We don't care about Joust.
As well as the Phoenix. So Phoenix, Titan, and Demon King all getting a lot of increased HP. You're also going to see increased HP on the red buff. So that one's a contested buff. It was a little too easy to capture, we felt like. You could oftentimes just completely steal it, even if your opponents were really close. We were going to have a little bit more people fighting over that one. But simultaneously, we're going to make actually the blue and the yellow a little bit easier to kill, to make sure that people can do their little rotation before the game starts, and when they're rotating through the jungle throughout the game, they can get back to lane in time. Then finally, the lane minions. There was a little bit of a XP curve strangeness going on in this new Joust, where in the late game players' level would really stagnate and their gold though would continue to move forward, so you would kind of get full build, but you would only be like level 14 or something, and that felt really strange. So we're going to have lane minions increasing their XP.
What is
scaling,
5 fingers?
So you're going to get better XP throughout the late game, and this will do a lot of good things as far as preventing snowballing. As long as you can keep playing your wave, you should stay up and
where's his other
closer.
finger?
And we're also adding an increased distance for shared XP on minions, because Joust is relatively dangerous. Like if you're playing a squishy character and you get too close to the wave, the opponent's team is just going to 3-man wombo combo you and you just die. So a lot of people play it a little bit safer. They play a little further back from their wave than they do in other game modes, and that actually causes a lot of people to miss the experience from their own minion wave, even though they feel like they're standing right there, and that's really frustrating, and people don't understand why they're getting behind in Joust, and oftentimes this is the reason. So this is just going to be a big quality of life buff. This should help your team stay up in levels, even if they're playing safely.
Yeah, and if you're playing the aggressive team,
why are their hands like this?
Sobek comp where you're trying to wombo combo, you actually have to play forward and actively zone them versus kind of just passively being around the wave. So it also kind of puts the onus on the team that's like trying to use that pressure to actually utilize it.
That's a very good point. There's a lot of different places where this change is going to feel better. You have that one mage who likes to run up too far and like clear the whole wave without you, and you like get nothing, and you're like, come on. Now that should happen less. Like, this is going to be, I think, a huge quality of life improvement.
Definitely, yep. Lots of the Joust map released with lots of great community reception. These should be some great quality of life changes. And if you're a Joust or dual player, continue to send us your feedback, because we're completely open to it and we're looking for it.
Totally, good point. And even during PTS, we would be happy to make a few more adjustments based on comments and feedback. So
no item changes at all?
Take a look at it and let us know how you feel.
All right, so we're going to move right along to item balance, and we're going to start off with Hand of the Gods. We're going to increase the damage from 150 to 170.
Oh, they are doing items.
Yeah, so as a jungler, right, you had the experience where you got hog, maybe you were worried about an invade, and then no one came to invade, you warded up, you see it, nothing's happening, and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna hog the camp. And then the little minis to the sides live, and you're like, oh no.
Oh, it's on the back camp, yeah.
That extra damage increase is gonna
I'll probably start hogging back camp again.
As well as just give a bit more secure control
when
you are using it to defend.
He'll kill the
invades.
smalls now?
Especially if like
melee the middle one like 4 times is dead.
Enemy laners come to fight you.
That's actually really
nice. A little
nice.
bit of extra damage will help you secure as well.
Sounds dumb, but
we're
that's
also looking
really
at this
nice.
specifically for the jungler. So if you have Assassin's Blessing, this damage is amplified.
Yep.
This number should now let you clear any buff camp or back harpy camp, or not mid harpies.
No, I won't do mids.
I should have calculated this more closely. But the jungler here is going to get a bigger buff from this than non-junglers. So keep in mind that if you're playing this as a guardian, or maybe you're using this elsewhere, you might not. Or if you let the minions
we baby
get a
raged
stack
and they
of their,
ban people.
HP buffs.
We baby raged about junglers.
Clear the minis
and they buff junglers.
This is here to make sure. Mostly, this is here to hyper focus on making sure those junglers
baby raging
get
is the
that
answer.
really clean start.
All right, we're gonna kick things off. Next up is Heartseeker. Subsequent hits on the passive on the same target do 75% of the bonus damage for the next 3 seconds. That's a little bit of a nerf.
That makes sense.
So Heartseeker, we've been hearing nerf requests.
That's fine. We aren't worried about that.
Quite a while now. We want to be careful. We don't want to overdo it. We're doing a lot of tight balance with junglers. As you can see, we just made a huge conquest game feature specifically for that class. So
that doesn't
we're trying to
change
be
like
careful,
anything.
But this
to be
item
honest,
definitely feels overtuned. And when you can unload your whole kit on someone and get an additional damage proc on every single ability, that is pretty strong. So what we're doing here is you're going to just get a slight reduction in just the bonus damage from the item trigger if you hit the same target within 3 seconds. This is similar tech as we use on Soul Reaver, and this type of solution has been really successful in the past. We think it's going to work well on Heartseeker. Notice we did 75 instead of 50, so we are open to adjusting this number up and down even further, right, Pawn?
Yeah, exactly. Heartseeker's been one of the go-to items for a lot of the more aggressive junglers. It slots in really nicely and gets a lot of extra damage. Reducing it to 75%, it's still going to be a very strong item, but that kind of situation where you're getting a whole bunch of extra procs, the damage is going to be reduced, hoping to bring it more in line with other options. And as you said, would be obviously willing to make adjustments to this number to make sure that this item feels good to still buy.
All right, I know a lot of you have been on us for Heartseeker nerfs, and you've got them. Thanks so much for the feedback. Next up for items, we got Mantle of Discord, and we are going to decouple the CC immunity and the stun on the passive of this item. It's now going to be a 0.3 second cast time before the stun hits.
That is weird.
This is a really interesting change, and shout out to the Smite Pro team here at Hirez who've been asking for this. The amount of self-peel that this item provides is pretty massive, right? We've even had discussed actually cutting or removing the CC immunity or the stun from it. That felt a little too intense for us. What we want is have better counterplay and better reactivity. So when you're fighting against someone who has a mantle, you're not just going to get insta-stunned anymore when they hit this threshold. You're going to see them go CC immune. You're going to see some effects.
What that makes me think is people will die. You'll die before
so you can prepare to either
the stun goes off sometimes
or
now.
leap it or something like that, so you can react to it. This is going to be mostly like a pro level, high level.
Plus, yeah, you'll be able to back off or move through them.
Mantle, it'll still do a lot of the same things.
That'll be kind of crazy, actually. That's such a minor thing, but it's kind of a major fucking change.
If you're ahead, but it's definitely going to have a little more counterplay and a little bit more window of opportunity to punish.
Yeah, you're going to be more reactive to, like, if someone's next to you and they have that and you see that little bit of warm-up, you have the opportunity to try and leap away from it or maybe pre-beads to avoid getting stunned. Where right now, you could be fighting someone.
Not a tank-only item. Mages get it late game, junglers get it late game, sometimes hunters get it late game.
You actually now are able to
picked up by a lot of people.
All right, well, last up for items, we've got Ring of Hecate. We're going to be decreasing the cost from 2,600 to 2,500, and we're also making a change to the passive to where this item will now stack off of any target.
So this item gets compared to Bancrofts a lot, especially in Mage ADC builds. We're trying to make it a better replacement for that item. I don't know if we can truly replace Bancrofts. That item is very good. But we want Hecate to be able to provide you the stats you want. And one thing people were saying is that the passive was really just not
unless you
very
can
effective.
keep the passive all the time.
God multiple times, basic attacks.
You can keep the passive all the time,
You're definitely
maybe.
doing that from time to time, but not super often, not super consistently. So now you're going to have that increased lifesteal pretty much all the time. Because you can gain these stacks from anything. As long as you're in combat, as long as you've been fighting something, this item is going to provide a significant more amount of lifesteal than it did previously.
Yeah, for any mage who's trying to look for some sustain, Bancroft has always been the go-to, and then pair that with Demonic Grip. This should now be much more competitive in that slot because you can actually use it to sustain against jungle camps, maybe objectives, or you can start stacking up before the fight in the lane and then take that lifesteal into the fight with you.
Okay,
I believe
so
a
the
fun
stack
fact in
does
testing
stay.
is
Maybe
you
it
can
will
even
be
gain the
decent.
stacks on towers, although you won't be lifestealing from those towers. You can build the stacks so that when you get jumped,
how long does the passive
you will have
last?
that lifesteal ready to go at the time you're fighting.
If it lasted like 15 seconds, that would be pretty sick.
Awesome. Ring of Hecate, a new item in Season 7.
5 seconds?
Didn't
Yeah,
get
not
picked
long
up
enough.
a whole lot, so hopefully these buffs change that. That wraps it up for items, and we're going to move right along to God. First up on the list is Ares. We're going to be buffing No Escape. We're decreasing the self-slow from 50% to 30% here.
Yeah, Ares can now actually, once he pulls you, he can cover some more distance to try and juke maybe incoming abilities, pull people a further distance into his own enemy team, or into his own team.
Kind of out of nowhere.
Just a lot more flexibility on the ultimate to make sure that it feels impactful when Ares uses it.
Ares has had a hard time finding a true foothold in Conquest specifically. He tends to be stronger in other game modes. What we want to do is give him a little bit more control, as you can see here. His ultimate is really good, you know. It really can be very good. But stronger players are pretty good at avoiding it or, you know, cleansing it. So what we have here is that this slow change is going to make Ares not such a sitting duck. So even if you know you hit sometimes you Ares ulting just because you know you're going to burn some beads and you're okay with that, right? And now you can do that and not also like sacrifice your entire hit point pool for it.
Definitely. Next up on the list, we've got Discordia. We're making a change to Golden Apple of Discord, and we're increasing the projectile speed from 80 to 120.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, so this was interesting because we were looking at Persephone. We were looking at just different ways for these like kind of like long range ultimates to how they feel and how they compare against each other. And Discordia, there's a lot of community discussion about Discordia in general. Some people feeling like she was underwhelming, some people feeling like she was still really strong, and people were crazy for calling her underwhelming. And we just found a place that felt from all that feedback that felt underwhelming to her, which was Golden Apple
Welcome to Discordia on every shit mid laner ever for the next 2 months, boys and girls.
Similar to Persephone, where that's a bit too easy to confirm, we're reducing the projectile speed. We're increasing the projectile speed.
There's going to be a lot of Discordia just off this bullshit change because it doesn't. This change is like annoying for the all. That's it. Nothing else changes.
160. So that's the kind of speed range that
they're
we're
speeding
looking at.
up the travel time on the ult,
which he currently is, and in between Nox's speed.
It's like a lot.
I think this
faster.
is going to feel really good for Discordia, and I like it that it doesn't actually increase her total damage potential at all. This is like a quality of life buff. It's definitely going to result in more ultimates making contact with enemies, which is going to result in her dealing more damage, but it's not the same as just a true damage buff. And I think this one is mostly for feels reasons. Discordia is like a very tricky character from feels reasons. Like, I love to tell the story about me and Ponpon testing her Strife ability in playtesting, and we would like increase the range of that ability by like 5 units, and everyone in the playtest would be flipping tables. And then we would decrease it by 5 units, and everyone would be like, man, this god is weak. Like, she has some very tight timings and tight decisions to be made here. So I'm really excited to see that this sped up. I think this is going to feel a lot better. I think we were maybe a little too harsh on her and wanted to keep this slow due to her launch being strong, but now I think this is the right time, the right change to make.
Definitely. A lot to talk about.
Love Nemesis?
We'll see who thinks she's still strong or who thinks she's still weak after these buffs come through.
Discordia 2
Next
is nuts.
up on the list, we've got Horus. Fracture, we are decreasing the cooldown on the ability, and to the skies, Horus is now going to be able to move faster while selecting a target.
Yeah, so Horus is more of a support warrior, but he often felt kind of weird in his build decision making. Fracture having a decreased cooldown overall is going to help make him not
like
feel so
Thanatos.
reliant on CDR and be able to flex more into those tank opportunities, and also set up just more often for his team. And to the skies, the movement speed that he had in it limited how far he could move. We're
now he can go
that
far
to let him
fuck.
go further. So if he needs
Bro,
to chase an enemy team down further, or get his team further away, or maybe try and like get a longer distance teleport onto like the Titan, for example, he can now do that more.
It's because you were slow before, so now you're going to be a little bit faster than normal speed.
Yes.
I know
we're
going to increase this number. It's going to look really large, but we just want players out there to understand that diminishing returns on movement speed is a pretty intense factor in Smite. So although we're increasing this number to what looks like an absurd level,
not that crazy. He'll be fast.
This is where we felt like this number is what made the ultimate actually feel considerably better. So it's not as big as it looks, but it is enough so that you can feel it, which is what we want. So this is going to make this ultimate, I mean, this is already a pretty crazy ultimate if you have the right level of coordination. Now Horus is going to be able to do even more crazy stuff with this. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, the number is plus 35% movement speed.
Because Horus has a good kit, but his ult's kind of like it's not always useful. Now it's going to always be useful.
Basically, a basic attack and half, 2 basic attacks range on his actual teleport distance. So he's getting further.
The other thing is when you're trying to get out too, it's faster because you go up and you have to move real slow, and then you would get out. Now you're gonna be up, over, out, boom.
All right, it is time for the buff that everybody has been waiting for. Kuzenbo getting some love here.
No!
Water Bowl, we're going to increase the duration here from 10 seconds to 30 seconds.
Ban Brian.
And my favorite change of the patch. Nene Kappa.
Ban
Kuzenbo can now spawn multiple Nenes. And then last up for Kuzenbo, we're making a change to Sumo Slam and adjusting the turn radius to allow for a little bit more control over the turns.
Kuzenbo is interesting. He is definitely someone that is... A lot of people like him for the meme factor.
I'm gonna jungle him.
We've seen him struggle a little bit to really succeed as a true support and really like be a
Jungle,
competitively viable
we
pick.
got a new Guardian,
so we want to
boys.
make some changes that, one, gave him more ability to do that.
Let's go.
But also some changes that are going to affect his overall gameplay experience, where you throw a Nene Kappa and then you get a whole bunch of shield spike returns, or shell spike returns, and then you get another Nene Kappa and you watch your first one die. That was just kind of a bad feel, and so that's being fixed.
Multiple Nenes.
We're about to have
me,
3 Nenes.
Multiple Nenes.
Dude, it's gonna be.
It's happening.
Especially wait until you play him on some match of the day or something. It's gonna be a mess.
Fuck that.
But
Jungle Kizimbo,
realistically
Brian,
speaking,
you're welcome.
Kuzumbo's a tricky character to balance. He is really in your face and can do a lot of difficult
Dude,
things to
Kizimbo's
deal with.
annoying as
So
fuck
we're trying
as
to
a
balance
Guardian.
him and not
good.
Up those
Annoying for me, for
specific
junglers.
factors. Mostly specifically damage reflect. We do not want to be buffing damage reflect. We've already nerfed Nemean. We understand that damage reflect can be really frustrating. We like having it in certain places, but we don't want to overbuff it.
The fuck?
I think to me the biggest change is
Is
water
Palmon
ball.
high?
Like the way this ability is designed, it's kind of a stacking protective buff, and then it's only cleared when he is hit by certain types of CC, which is very thematic, right? Because it's tipping his water. It was really strange to me that this had such a short duration. That's why we were willing to make such a large increase. You should really have to knock the water out, in my opinion. I think we could even move this 30 seconds up even higher. But I think that passive is going to be the big change that lets Kuzumbo be a more effective tank or frontliner for his teams, even without the ability to reflect damage or deal damage. That's going to make him a better frontliner.
Mm-hmm.
Super excited to see these changes in game. Next up, we've got some buffs for our newest goddess to hit the battleground, Mulan. Spear Thrust is going to be seeing a speed up in the rollout of the hit area, and Divine Mastery. Mulan is now going to get increased protections by 30% when firing this ability.
They're buffing my
new god
jungle.
release. People have been trying to figure out where exactly they want to play Mulan, how they want to play
Jungle.
Mulan. I know a lot of people tried to play the super aggressive Mulan and found out that the ult
Jungle.
was
The ult
difficult to,
sucks.
once you connected with
The ult
someone, they could
shit.
just turn and like crack in you, and you could potentially die. So I think people have kind of settled into their build path. And one thing about this change that I really like is Divine Mastery. It's increased protections by 30%. So if you built Bruiser, you're more rewarded for this change than if you haven't.
Interesting thing with new
I think
gods,
the
we
ult still
always try to
sucks.
take our time
But
on
fire
balance
time
adjustments.
sounds good.
We
That fire
want to
time.
make sure players learn the character before we react to them. So I know there's some people out there who might be a little confused about Mulan buffs.
Mulan
Maybe they were
jungle is
expecting
good.
nerfs.
Mulan
You know,
jungle is
people
top
tend
3,
to,
top 4 maybe
rate
in the
new
game.
gods as stronger than they actually are. We haven't seen her in really ranked or
Shit's
pro play
broken.
yet, so we're not 100% sure. But we do know that from
You have
the
3
player
power
feedback,
spikes on a god.
people were pretty
Usually, as
frustrated
a
about
jungler, you have like
dying
1 or
during
2.
Divine Mastery. And we wanted also to design that bonus protections in a way that encourages Mulan to build tanky.
I don't have any glitches
upfront.
on
So if you're
Mulan,
playing full jungle Mulan,
ever.
that's great. That can be really good. But you're not going to get as much of a bonus from this protection buff as you would if you're playing Warrior Mulan. And
I
that's
agree,
exactly
Mom.
the
If
way
you
we
miss, you
intended.
just keep going.
So we think this is going to be really important. If she ends up overperforming in some of those high skill things in the future, we would be happy to nerf her in other
If they
ways. But I
take,
still think at the
remember
end
that
of the day,
protection
we're gonna be
bullshit
happy
and
that
just
we
make
have
the
this
ult
new
more
god.
fluid, the god's already fine.
All right, next up, we've got Ra, a god who hasn't seen a whole lot of love in a long time. Solar Blessing is now going to provide physical power and magical power to allied gods who are standing in the area.
This is a blast from the past.
Shoutouts to closed
This
beta.
is old
Yeah.
as fuck. Yeah, what?
Yeah, so Solar Blessing, for those that don't know, used to not only give
Gives
power,
protections and
but also
power.
take power
Used to.
from people who were in it.
Oh yeah,
So
it did
this
take
is kind
power.
of a partial version of that, where rather than just taking power, because that's really what the protection
We've gone-
on it that
we've gone through
currently
so
exists do,
many
we're giving some of that power back. So if you want to use this aggressively on sieging a tower or Phoenix, maybe on an objective, or you're just in the middle of a team fight, you're healing your teammates, and they are benefiting from this power. It's just increasing the overall utility that Ra brings to a team.
I love this because it encourages you to use it in combat. You know, the raw
30
meta
power
where he is just disengaging
for your-
after
it's an
every
item
fight
for
and
your
healing up the
hunter.
team, and that's why he's meta. That is not, to me, the
For
healthy
your
spot for Ra.
jungler.
This encourages you to
Imagine
fight
a
in it.
solo
This
laner
encourages
with
you to
another
use
power
it for
item,
power
like-
plays, like Pawn mentioned, for towers and for jungle bosses.
I'm not playing
So
Ra jungle.
We know there's a lot of people out there been talking about Ra. I'm really
maybe.
happy to see a buff on the list for him.
All right, and
Yeah,
last
Ra's
up
gonna be
for
sick on
gods
objectives.
in this balance section, we've got Scylla, and we're going to be making some changes to Crush. First of all, we fixed an issue where Crush would not apply
Off
protection
Scylla,
reduction
and this
to
is
slow immune
one of the best
targets.
patches of all time.
But the change that we're going to be making here is Scylla is now going to be able to explode Crush when she is CC'd.
Kind of a bug fix, but has a very important balance reaction to it. So this is something that from Quality of Life people have been asking for a long time. We know there's probably a lot of people out there saying Scylla does not need a buff right now.
And Wall Dead.
This one specifically, this is just really frustrating, and even other gods like Isis, they already function in this way, so it feels strange. And we're definitely going to be continuing to look at other types of gods with a similar design here, and make sure we give players the control that they expect. Because a lot of times people are mashing this button, they don't understand why it's not working. It honestly, it felt like a bug to them, and so fixing this, I think, is going to reduce a lot of frustration from playing the character.
There's so many times where I kill a Scylla and they can't finish me because he's dead and can't pop the 2.
Burst damage off, and the other person kills you, and then you watch them just stand in it and then walk out of it, and you're like, I tried to detonate it, but it didn't work. It just doesn't feel right, especially when we have other characters in the game that do allow you to detonate it post like death or CC.
This should allow her to use this while dead as well, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
I would expect it to match Isis fully now.
That's what I would expect. I know we didn't have that written, but Clumsy was leading this one, so unfortunately we don't have him on the call right now. So we will double check and confirm that, and Scylla players, get ready to be crushing people.
Oh yeah. That wraps it up for balance heading your way in the Witch of the Woods update, but we've got a ton of skins coming your way too. And we're going to kick things off with what's coming in Chapter 2 of the Grim Omens event. And we're going to start off with Acer Mulan. This is another Pantheon crossover skin for this show.
Oh
yeah,
shit!
It's also the first skin for Mulan.
Okay,
really exciting.
Mulan skin,
Mulan
dude.
Legendary
Junglet baby, let's go. I'm playing Mulan every game.
Into the god pantheons of Smite, and we really liked the idea of imagining how she might travel around and like learn the ways of the combat from the other pantheons. So this here we kind of have her reinterpreted as if she's been training, Mulan herself training with the Norse gods, and picked up their powers and their skills and their weaponry, and it just looks amazing.
Yeah, we're really doubling down on the training arc passive theme here.
in the kit, in the visuals, and in the skins, she's got training arc. That is meta commitment.
And I just love this card art and her skin. She looks just so strong in this pose. I'm really excited to play with this one. All right, next up on the list, we have got Rocky Road Hebo, and this is a sweet take on the super high damage dealer Jungle Mage.
What?
He's looking so awesome.
So you might remember the Ymir skin pictured right there, looking gasping at Hebo's power as Hebo throws sprinkles at his enemy.
Oh my gosh, dude, this has so much potential. Please be good.
Inside joke for the team as we were developing.
It's not in game for 20 days.
Brainstorming it, the idea of just yelling sprinkles at each other and throwing them at each other.
That's awesome.
Just thought that was hilarious.
Holy
so
shit.
We had a good bit of fun designing this skin internally.
As long as this looks good ability wise.
See, now I just want ice cream. Like, it's actually cold outside right now, and I just want to go out and get ice cream.
I know, right? I need some sweet treats. And you know what? Now that I think about it, I feel like sprinkles hurt if they get thrown at you a lot. So that kind of makes sense.
Hebo hurts, that's for sure.
Does he actually throw sprinkles?
Yeah. And this is going to be available in Chapter 2 of the Grim Omens event. And the next skin that's in Chapter 2
can't wait to see the abilities on that shit.
Is Syndicate Daji.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Very interesting here. So yeah, you've got a lot of focus on this kind of tattooed mercenary, she clearly not following the rules, a lot of style to her.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Loving the details and the tattoos. And I got a chance to see this skin in game a little earlier, and the tails have a really cool texture treatment on them. She's definitely got some style, but is also super badass.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what the Palo looks like.
That's a fucking good skin.
The Paolo is amazing. It's like
that's a really good skin.
It's very tattoo inspired as
well. You
can
see the fucking tattoos. That's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I got my first tattoo last year during the Winter Wishes charity event, and I already want another one. And this is kind of inspiring me a little bit, so we'll see. Next up, we want to give you guys an exclusive sneak peek at the chapter reward for Chapter 2, and this one is super cute. It is Kitty Cafe Artemis.
No!
Yes, this one. Oh man! All right, so this is the chapter reward, which means it won't be
more
available
of this
to
shit.
Unlock right when Mulan and Hebo and Daji go live, but you will be able to. You'll be earning this reward through getting those skins.
Oh, did you say this is sick?
Tier 4, a lot of additional stuff added to it. That cart of the cats riding, that's in the game. That is her Tusky.
Oh,
it is
no
so
way.
cute.
Oh, that's sick.
Yes,
okay.
those cats are on the cart, being like palling around and being cute and silly. And there's a whole lot of additional effort went into the effects and her traps and everything like that. This skin, Took a little bit of additional effort for us to imagine what would it be like if Artemis, the goddess of the hunt, was running her own cat cafe.
Okay.
How would that work? And that is what we have here.
I have a feeling I know who really pushed for this idea.
It came from a lot of places. I think Tina was definitely a champion of it, but it might have even been Alex who pitched it initially. But yes, this is awesome for sure.
Yeah, this definitely turned out great, and I'm just super excited to just see kitties everywhere on the battleground.
Agreed.
Next up for skins, it's been a long time coming. Valkyrie Bride Thor.
Yes!
Finally!
The super long time community request is finally in the game. The Mad Lads finally did it.
Look at Loki's troll face. Look at Loki's troll face. Oh my god. This is amazing.
What is this?
In the background, like, how could we have been fooled?
For those of you who don't get it, this is a specific reference to Norse mythology. Thor's hammer gets taken by the ice giants, and the only way they will return it is if they marry Freya to the leader of the ice giants. And they don't want to do that, so instead Loki and Thor devise a plan to go undercover to the wedding where Thor himself pretends to be Freya. And even in Norse mythology, they describe how poorly put together his disguise is. But the ice giants fall for it, and he is able to recover his hammer, and that is what you are seeing here.
Oh, this is so good.
This would be unlocked through the stretch goal of the viewer points system, so you'll need to earn viewer points to unlock it. You will not have to spend viewer points on this one. This one you will unlock in addition to all the other things
Thor in
you
a
spend your
fucking
points
wedding
on.
dress.
But this is we wanted to make sure we had some really big hype skin. To
is
be
this
like an
hammer
additional
bigger?
stretch goal
It
for
looks
the viewer,
bigger. I don't know why.
Viewer system. So this is it. I know my community's been asking for it for literal years.
These have good
and
taunt.
Look how glorious it is.
Yeah, Thor is just rocking that dress.
Yeah, most definitely.
He's
So
the
be
god
sure
of
if
thighs.
you haven't already, be sure to link your Hirez and Twitch or Mixer accounts. You could be earning points right now for watching the show.
I need to link my shit.
Head over to the Esports and Live Streams Hub in game.
I'll probably, if you can buy it, I'll probably end up buying all the way through to these.
And the last skin that we've got up for you today is Shadow Speaker Hell.
Oh, this one's really cool.
The tier 5 hell?
It looks like we have expanded lore on this skin.
Is this
now.
the tier 5?
Yeah, we kind of branched into it a little bit.
This isn't the tier 5, is it?
We've been really digging this theme. We started with Izanami, Opwatch, Bakasura.
No, not the way. So there's a new hell skin before the tier 5.
The chaotic wilderness of this possible universe, and then we were branching with the Horus a little bit into the lighter side.
The skin is dope. Why the fuck are we getting a dope skin with the tier 5 skin coming out?
We kind of have a really interesting take on this skin for these two opposite themes.
Definitely. This theme is one of my favorites, and I'm just super excited to just see another element added to it, the light side of things.
Certainly it has a little bit of anime inspiration, so I know you're digging it, Isaiah.
Oh, yeah.
But of course you see a lot of high fantasy here, and also a little bit of wilderness, jungle, nature themes.
The fucking colors on the other one are really good.
Really, really good, and all of them are wallpaper material, but this one especially could easily be wallpaper.
Really nice, yeah.
Well, that wraps it up for all of the content headed your way on April 21st, but we've still got the main event of the show ready for you guys. Baba Yaga, Witch of the Woods' epic god reveal is coming up right now. All right, welcome back, everybody. Baba Yaga, Witch of the Woods, is finally making her way onto the battleground, and I've still got AJ and Pond to break things down with me. All right, guys, before we get into it, Baba Yaga, who is she, and how did she make her way onto the battleground?
So yeah, Baba Yaga is a very interesting character. Her stories kind of lead her to be this very chaotic character that sometimes she's going to help you out, and sometimes she's not going to help you out. Sometimes she's just going to outright hurt you or eat you if you come to her cabin uninvited. But she never really interferes unless people come to see her first. And that's something we want to kind of bring into Smite as a whole, where she's this chaotic figure that brings kind of these random elements to the game, but she knows what she's doing. She knows what she's in control of. she has kind of this understanding of this grand plan that just other people don't have insight into.
And she's just a really interesting and unique character for the game. Really excited to be bringing her. The community feedback was a huge part of getting Baba on the schedule, and now she's finally here for real. Look at how cool and creepy she is. She's going to have her house. She's going to be riding in her mortar and her pestle. She's just got all of the iconic Baba things, and we're just so excited.
Yeah, definitely. Taking a look at her card out here, AJ, earlier you said she was going to be
just call it
ugly
a
and
gilf?
gangly, and she is definitely
It's
that.
disgusting.
I hope everybody is happy. I mean, we really want to make our players happy with each God release. That is our goal. And I love how she turned out. She looks really cool and creepy and scary. And she's just kind of a little wacky too. And she's right on the line of creepy and wacky. And that's a difficult spot to go for. And I think our art team and design team was just on point, though.
And I love the mortar and pestle. Like, the mortar there, just like this kind of big thing that she's riding on top of. And then the pestle is actually like a staff. You can see like the base of it is used to is kind of like flat and rounded so you can grind things with it. But then it's going to turn into this like gnarly staff. It's just so cool.
Definitely. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to see her in game. So I'm pretty sure we have that ready for you guys. Oh, and look at that. Look at her floating around there.
Yep, she is definitely interesting. Should I just fire off a whole bunch of things?
Yeah, Pawn, you've got the floor.
Okay, let's go.
Which way?
Oh my god.
The shapes. Look at their shapes of the ability.
Oh, that one.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, the house.
So that's the ult.
Oh my goodness. So there is.
You see the
definitely
shapes of
a
the
lot
abilities.
going
There's like
on.
a
Let's go
fucking
ahead
L.
and start things off with
There's a
the
U.
passive. We couldn't have Baba Yaga without her creeping cabin. So what's going on with the passive, guys?
Yeah, so her passive is, of course, her cabin, her hut. It's the thing she lives in. It has the chicken feet. You can see there it's kind of like roosting and getting ready to kind of go into the ground. And we wanted to let this be a persistent thing on the battlefield that kind of followed her around, like kind of creeps along the battlefield. You can see as I move away, it's going to start kind of moving towards me. Oop, yep.
Is it in the
He's got
way?
so much personality
Can you walk
in
through
a
it?
living house. He's like pops
Can
up.
you
and
use
he's
that
like,
to
"Oh, believe me."
LOS?
And the goal of this is basically as it's running around the map, it's accumulating essence for Baba Yaga. So it's not just kind of idling around. You can see on the passive meter that purple bar there. If I were to get hurt, so real quick, hit me with. Normally, I don't actually get to talk while typing all this stuff. You get to do the click clacks.
We're filming this from home because we're still doing that, and thank you everyone for bearing with us as we try some new things.
So you can see as I take damage, that energy kind of drains, and I get some health back, which is
No
part of the
way.
passive. So
the
it's
house
basically
heals
like
you.
a mini fountain for Baba
What?
Yaga herself. But it's not just a fountain. So you can
It's
see
a
as
home
I kind of,
away from home. Would you say, Pom
yes, is definitely that.
What?
You can see as it's running around, it's getting a little
So
bit
you
more
can buy out
energy,
of it, I
but it
bet.
has an extra component there that might change how you build Baba Yaga.
Oh,
so
wait,
I'm going
maybe
to quickly
not.
back. Let's go buy, I don't know, maybe a warlock staff. That seems like
Oh yeah, she
That
stacks
seems fitting.
faster. That's what it is.
yeah.
At least thematically.
She
So I'm going
stacks
to approach the
fast.
cabin. It should be running towards me. Yep, there it is.
Well,
And let's see what the energy
You
does here.
get stacks off the fucking.
I
5 stacks.
Oh
Yep.
my gosh.
6.
So the energy is first trying to accumulate into stacking items. So if you have a stacking item, if you have a warlock staff, if you have a hide of the urchin, if you have a Karen's coin, this will actually convert that energy into stacks of that item.
Wait, the coin
The amount of
too?
energy it takes scales off the stack count. So you can't just get 10 stacks of hide of the urchin for free.
Right, the tougher ones.
Yeah, so you can see I'm getting pretty good stacks of warlock staff, but it would take nearly a full energy bar to get a stack
What?
of Karen's coin, for example. Karan's coin.
Right.
Yep. And so if you don't have any stacking items or you're hurt, it'll actually use a heal instead. So you can use this in multiple different ways.
What?
Okay, so Baba Yaga is a mage, by the way.
Yes.
And her passive is the Creeping Cabin, which has this really unique pet type of mechanics where you can't really control exactly where it runs. It also gets startled by enemies, right?
Yeah, so I can actually run it to these Odin bots.
And
it's
if you
not
get near it when it's charged up, it'll try to give you item stacks, or if you don't have item stacks, it'll try to heal you. Does it do anything else?
so you can see when it gets near this Odin real quick, right? That little tether of purple energy. This is actually giving the cabin more and more energy. So if enemies are around it for too long, you can see I'm getting a lot more warlock staff stacks. because enemies are nearby, because it's draining essence from them. They're getting a small power reduction for this.
Okay, so they get a little debuff and you gain stacks. But yeah, being near 2 gods for this long is pretty uncommon in gameplay.
Yeah,
but,
because
so you're getting a lot of stacks here. But
if you get too close, the cabin is.
Oh, it runs.
Oh, there he goes. Oh no.
Yeah, it didn't like that I spawned something on top of it.
Yeah, I was a little confused with the spawn, but
if an enemy gets too close, it's just gonna run away. So enemies have ways of like, if this is getting in people's ways, or if they're draining essence and they want to get rid of it, they can just run to it and the cabin gets startled and runs.
Awesome. So we're gonna go through her abilities next. You can see them across the bottom. Those are some temp icons. You'll see a few other temp assets in here. You know, we're working from home. Things are all coming together greatly, but a few things are going to be streaming in throughout PTS. So, yeah, let's see ability 1. It looks very interesting.
So first ability is Wild Witchcraft. You can see that this targeter is different than maybe when I used it before. It's a kind of like a right L shape, and it has some kind of frosty effects. When I fire this, the projectile is going to travel that path. And you can see my passive meter is now changed to kind of a purple L with an X, and this is actually a silence field. So projectile has a path and has a field it leaves behind, and they're both rolled randomly every single time you cast this ability. So we got right L silence.
Getting a lot of L's.
Yep, right L protection.
Just like my weekend.
There you go. Now we have a different shape.
Yeah, it's a circle.
So now we have a circle that is a slow field. Yeah, oval.
Right. So this is one of the most
movement speed,
random effects in all of Smite, and as you mentioned on the intro,
why?
Kind of Baba's personality we kind of interpreted as chaotic, and that's where we translated that into
that's
these chaotic
crazy,
spells.
Bro. Yep. And you can see that there's a slow field and a silence field which debuff your enemies, but there's also these protection and movement speed fields that if we can get them to roll. See, here's a protection field. When I stand inside of it,
how much protection?
As an ally, I get bonus protections for being inside this, and it persists for a little bit after I leave. In this one, I'm going to actually move a bit faster right in this field. So sometimes you roll helpful effects to help your teammates, and sometimes you roll harmful effects to hurt your enemies. And playing around that and playing around with the different shapes and the different hit areas, like for example, like normally, like this is about 55 range, you wouldn't be able to hit this Odin. If you aim it to the right, and you mess around with that shape a little bit, you get some extra range. And so learning these shapes is going to be a very interesting part of it.
I gotta say, in playtesting, that is like one of the most fun things to do with her.
It's gonna be weird to learn Insta-cast.
And it's like, oh, okay, no problem. And then it just takes a right turn at you. You gotta always be on your toes. And I love how Baba always knows what she's gonna cast next. Yes. So she can always be prepared. But as an enemy, you never really know what she's gonna be throwing at you.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to learn all three on Insta-cast.
Into the randomness and the chaotic nature of Baba Yaga. It's
I'll be on
cool.
Insta-cast.
And speaking of randomness, let's go ahead and move into Baba's next ability, Baba's Brew.
Yep. So when Baba's Brew lets her actually use her mortar and pestle to craft a potion. And the ingredients that she throws in the potion are random. So you can see when I hit the button, I kind of brew this potion. And this one is, let's see, 2 Eyes of Newt, 2 Dragon Scales, and 1 Wolf Tooth, which is basically each ingredient's going to empower this potion in a different way. So you can see when I throw that potion, it goes out, explodes, and it's going to deal damage. For each red ingredient or Eye of Newt, it's going to increase the damage of it a little bit. For each Scale of Dragon, it's going to add a slow to it, and this slow will stack an intensity per ingredient. And for each green ingredient or Wolf Tooth, you actually get a power reduction and attack speed slow applied to your enemies that are hit by this. So when I throw this one, it's a normal potion damage. It's been amplified a little bit by a red ingredient, and this is going to heavily slow that Odin. I believe that's what 12.5%. So that was a 50% slow applied to that Odin.
What?
Hit. So you can see I brew these potions and I get these different ingredients, and when I play around with these different ingredients,
Wait, that base damage is low as fuck.
More damage based off what I get. But that's not all.
Base damage is 200.
You can be like, hey, this potion is pretty good. I might want to save it for later. I don't really have a use for it right now. You right click or you cancel it or you refire the ability,
you can know what you're gonna throw.
Consumable slot. And you can see here this is a temp icon.
Yes. Okay.
You use it
again. We're working from home. We're trying to get all this in for PTS
buff
so you
yourself?
get to play with it. Temp icon for now, but you can see I have this potion in my consumable slot. If I use it, it pops right back out, and I can use it again.
Okay.
That is so cool. So she can pocket it and save it for later.
Correct.
Which actually lets her. You can only pocket
3?
1 potion at a time now. But then you can essentially in the future you can pocket
so you
one,
get 2 too.
and then wait until your cooldown is up, and then throw the one from your pocket and throw the one you brewed back to back, which is a pretty strong power play.
Yep, and you can see I have a potion out right now, and I also have a potion in my consumable slot. I can swap between them at will, so I can just bring out the one that suits the situation, and then I can throw one out, pop another one, throw it out. So there's a lot of flexibility in this move.
Okay.
A lot of learning and a lot of practice. Like when you learn to not
noobs
just
are gonna
quick
suck
throw,
dick
when
at
you
this
get one
god.
of those super slow potions and save that for when you're in trouble, or when you get one of those super damage ones and save that for when you really need it. That is how you go from a good Baba player to a great.
All these, dude, I bet you her scaling is high as fuck.
Cabin. Hello.
He got his paths around a little randomly, which is also intentional too, right?
Yes, he has some random pathing because when you walk around the map, if it's going to follow you,
They
so it
want
might
you
give some
stacking,
information to
bro.
your
This
opponents.
the
It has
skin's
some
gonna be
random
high
elements
as
there, and you can
fuck.
see it kind of triggered there, so that you don't always know where the cabin is kind of going and what direction it's heading towards. You can see, yep. So you can see now I have another potion I can cast. I brew one. I'm going to use the other one that I had stored. I'm going to throw that one and bring this one out, throw that one. So that's how this ability functions. You get a whole bunch of random ingredients. If you find a potion that you think you're going to need for later, so let's say you get a 5 damage potion, like, no, I have to save this for the team fight, right? You can pocket that one and save it for that team fight when it occurs.
Definitely.
Man, I just have the
loving
biggest
this,
smile on my face already.
for sure. Yeah, I'm loving this recurring theme of like the randomness. Baba Yaga always knows what's about to happen, but her enemies might not necessarily know. That's super cool.
Well, they can see her holding the potion, right? So you can get an idea for what type of potion she's got. If you see a whole bunch of
She's
red or a
about
whole
to
bunch of blue,
fucking
you
hit
might
me
know
with
what
a
to
big
play
ass
around it.
potion.
Yeah, and as it's
But-
traveling towards, you can see that the colors that are swirling around it are indicative of the ingredients that are inside of it.
Yeah, the projectile itself, that looks really good.
Yeah,
And also the
thanks to-
potion color changes. So you can see here, the potion itself right now is blue. And when I throw it, it's going to have a blue bit of explosion in it to signify that was a majority blue potion or majority red potion. So there's some definitely other tells that exist.
So there's like,
in the
what,
kit and the
4
particle
potion
effects.
colors, right? One majority
Yep.
for each color, and then there's the split one.
Yep. And so this one was a blue. I'm going to throw this one. Let's see if I can brew a neutral one. So yeah, here's the neutral one, which has no majority ingredient.
The
And so you can
2-2-1.
see, yeah, 2-2-1. It has most colors in here, and when I throw it, it has a bit of a more kind of colorful emissive.
Okay, nice.
Crazy. Well, this kit is really taking us into the stratosphere already, but we can blast off even further, right, Pawn?
Let's do
Good
it.
segue. So the third ability is Blast Off. Baba Yaga goes into her mortar for protection. So let's say you're in the middle of a team fight and you're about to get krakened. You can jump into the mortar for protection, and then while you're inside, Baba Yaga builds up magic that explodes, sending her flying off in a direction, or damaging people that are nearby, right?
Yeah, this ability is so fun to use as kind of a risky damage ability where you kind of dive in with the warm-up and then turn and burst yourself out.
What?
It's so wacky.
It's a really
Are you
unique
CC
movement
him again?
ability. It gives her strong protective stats while she's inside of her mortar, but she still can be interrupted, right, Pawn, by stuns, silences,
not CC immune, okay.
cripples.
Yes, she has knockback protection, which
Okay,
is
but
the only
that's-
protection she has. So yeah, so if I get stunned here, if I get crippled, or if I get silenced, it's going to end the effect. And I won't
and
have
put it
leaps-
on cooldown.
Correct, and put on cooldown. So
Oh,
there's
she's about to get
counterplay this
fucking
ability.
destroyed by,
Baba
like, a
Yaga has to be
Thanatos.
careful with how she's using this ability to make sure that she's not stunned out in a bad spot.
Right, the other day I was playtesting Baba and I got ganked by a Kali and I tried to quick
Bro, yeah, is this a
blast
dive
off, and Kali
gods?
just stunned me out of it.
Looks like they're about to
Uh-oh.
fuck her up.
Bad timing. So you really have to be a little careful when you're going to fire this and be
I wonder how
very
the self
aware of
peel
your
is.
matchups when you're playing.
Because the one doesn't seem very self-peely, maybe for disengage.
Yep,
Yeah,
really cool
yeah.
stuff going on. This
That
ability,
ability-
also feels really good because you get a little bit of a movement speed boost when you first enter it because you're jumping into the mortar, and that helps you like maybe close the distance to get in range for damage or juke a little bit. So there's a lot of like small subtle things on this ability to help it feel really good to use as well.
It just fits her tone and her theme really well too, because you know we've talked a little bit of creepy and a little bit of wacky. This ability is just straight fun, which I love to see.
For sure. And speaking of tone and her character as a whole, like I said earlier, you can't have Baba Yaga without her home sweet home. So let's talk about the ultimate.
Yep, so this is where we finally get to bring the cabin more directly into the fight. Baba Yaga calls down her cabin. It crashes down on her, knocking opponents away if they're too close.
I'm about to
So
be
we'll
a
show that off.
bungler on her.
So I call it down. Set Odin flying back a little
You're
bit.
kind of slow.
And now I'm inside the cabin, and Baba Yaga is in this cabin brewing up some witchfire magic. And this witchfire magic, when thrown, explodes on the target area that it hits, as well as it leaves a fire patch on the ground that creeps after enemies. So you can see here, I'm in here, I get 4 shots of this witchfire, and if I throw it,
Ooh,
lands,
that's cool.
explodes, and it
Oh, it
also
does not.
chases
It did
opponents
30
down.
damage.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wait, what?
So not only when it first fires is it going to deal some pretty impressive damage.
What
but
is
if
it?
you
Yeah, I want to know
get
the
people stuck
numbers,
in
bro,
it,
because the
they're
numbers are
CC'd,
looking
or
kind
they just
of
can't get away.
weak.
They're gonna take continual burning damage from this. effect.
130?
Now Baba is fully attackable and
I mean, that dodge is pretty
vulnerable while
fast.
she's in the cabin. She
Oh,
just
I
gets
bet
a little
her
bit of a
scaling
health shield
has
there.
to be high as fuck.
She gets a small health shield to indicate the cabin's providing her some extra protection.
Wait, can she
But
take damage in the ult?
She's CC
No,
immune,
she's got a
but She
shield.
can be entirely damaged. She can be killed in this
Yeah,
state.
she can be killed in
She has to
ult,
be a
okay.
little bit careful when she's playing.
She just gets a
with this
shield.
ability, because if she just jumps into the enemy team and they
Bro,
burn her down,
you
she
just
can
ult
definitely
yourself and just throw
You can
straight
see a little
down
bit of their
if you
cabin
can.
jumping around
Can
a
you
little
throw
on
on your?
outro. We're
If you
definitely
can throw on
aware
your
of that.
feet,
Still
can
working
you throw on
toward
your feet?
TS, but
Show me.
this
Throw your
ability
feet.
is a really cool mage ultimate. It lets you put out a lot of damage.
You can
but
fuck
if your
somebody
opponents are
up.
really aware of it, see it coming.
Can you
They can
Aegis in
avoid
your
it
ult?
pretty easily. But if you flank a fight and throw this into a pile of enemies and they are not paying attention, and they end
I
up
wanna see
letting
him throw
those
it at his
stacks,
feet.
those different Witchfire deployables pile up on them, they start taking damage from all of them individually all at once. You can put out an
see
absurd
them
amount of
chicken
damage
legs,
really
Tally.
quickly if you place it.
Your self
if you
heal
place
is
this in
insane
timeless crank.
in this ult.
Yeah, I think we worked out the damage to be something around like Anubis ult. If you were to be hit by every single one and stand in it,
Doesn't
for
matter
every
if you get
single
damage
tick,
in the ult. You're
you can
given a
take some
shield and
serious
your
damage.
self heal
Of course,
because
enemies
of
will have
that. If you just
movement
stack
abilities
them
out
all on
it,
top
and
of you,
there's
you'll
a
just
lot of
fucking
time,
kill somebody.
Right, like the amount of time in between each shot is relatively significant. I can't just spam fire it.
Like,
super
look at the
fast.
burning.
So it's unlikely
That
that you're
burning
going to
is
get
doing
all
a
the damage
fuck
out. But
ton
in
of
the middle of a
damage.
giant team fight where there's 5 people you could potentially hitting, you're putting out a lot of damage in that fight.
And just shout outs to the animation team. You can actually see Baba with like some kind of cartoony proportions, like reaching out of the windows and chimney and stuff to throw these fireballs out the front door. It is like, it's so fun. And we got a little bit of this a feel for this ability in that amazing cinematic trailer we made before we started the Baba segment, right? How awesome was that?
Yeah, that cinematic was so cool.
Yeah,
We were watching,
I mean,
like,
you
little
kind of
pieces it come
assumed she
in
was
over
CC
time, and I
immune
was like,
in
this is just gonna be
this.
incredible.
Yeah, it was.
If you
so
could be
awesome.
stunned on that, it would be
Baba
really
Yaga is our
awkward.
next mage hitting the battleground. Are you guys thinking she's gonna stick to that traditional mid role, or do you think she's gonna be able to flex anywhere else?
Nah, she'll be
I
a
think she
mid
definitely
laner.
has potential to be a strong mid laner. I think there's some room for her to potentially be in the solo lane with the little sustain that she can get from her cabin, but I think other kind of bruiser mages do that better. So I just expect her to be more of the traditional mid mage.
I would agree with that.
Cool. Awesome. Well, we've covered all the abilities. Let's take a second and listen to Baba Yaga's voice pack.
Oh, wondrous. You sure are something. Attack. Defend. Baba knows best, dearie. Disturbing a Baba Yaga while she is resting. Oh, not how I would choose to leave this world. But suit yourself.
Tons of character
That
there.
taunt
I
animation was
know.
amazing.
I was about to say, like, the character that she brings along with those voice lines. Oh, it's so good.
I really like how we got this kind of creepy old lady voice, but we got a little bit of that Slavic accent in there too, so you just get a good feel for her cultural background. It's awesome. Oh, and the recall, just the drop. As soon as that drop hits, it's like poof, and she's gone.
It's
And
so
look
good.
at the mortar and pestle working itself. That's some classic witchcraft.
Yeah.
The animation team did a great job on this character. Oh
Yeah,
my
there's a
gosh.
lot of like little flavor bits. Like I don't know if people were noticing earlier on where occasionally she'd reach out and grab this butterfly and just shove it into her mortar and start grinding it up.
Just mash it. Yeah. Oh yeah, we saw it a few times throughout the video today. So of course, you know, when you're expecting it, you don't see it. But when you never know, it'll show up at any time. But we definitely saw it a few times, and I'm sure we'll see it again.
For sure. All right, and while we've got you here, Pon, let's take a look at the recolors for Baba Yaga.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have two different recolors. We have the one you can purchase with favor, and then we have, which is this one, the green one.
Nice.
Yep, so you get a different color theme to it, as well as if I go to the cabin, which I kind of left behind, it's
house
making its
changes
way.
colors.
It's making its way.
Look at it run down the
Here
lane.
he's coming. Hey,
Dude, there are some
I'm
times in
coming,
the middle of
Mom.
the jungle and like the middle of the fog, you just don't see it, and all of a sudden like it pierces through the fog. It's genuinely creepy and mad.
Yeah.
And there's some more green highlights.
That's
on
what
it.
I'm
Okay, so
on
the
Smite's
cabin
official
changes
site.
colors too. That is amazing.
Yep.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh, there's the butterfly. She was just about
Yep.
to grab it.
I moved. I interrupted
Yeah.
it.
You,
So we also got the other one as well, right?
the season ticket recolor.
Or Season Pass 2020. Yeah.
Season pass. My bad.
Yeah. So
To
yeah,
get the
if you guys
cabin
don't
out of the
remember-
ground. It doesn't like being spawned in the way that
No.
I'm doing it.
And it's
So-
a nice orange-red color.
Looks good. Yep. So every god released this year is going to get an additional limited
75% scaling.
Season pass, and this one for
protection's
Baba
up to
Yaga looks
35.
really awesome.
Movement speed up to
And then, of course, we
30%.
also have
Slow
our
up to
mastery
30%.
skins, right?
Oh yeah.
Pulse
And these are going to launch
cooldown.
with Baba Yaga. I know we started that trend, and I know
Oh,
players
as
really
you level up to
appreciate
2,
it.
it gets more ingredients. 60% scaling.
Also,
Now,
one thing that I didn't
that's a
get
long
to show
cooldown.
off,
The stability
it
seems
looks
weak.
a little bit weird 'cause
Maybe
I'm
the
switch
ingredients
classing
just
the way
make it
that I
OP.
am. When you first spawn, the hut actually spawns in front of you, so it'll actually have a
260
little
at
bit of like,
85%
it'll be
scaling.
in front of wherever you spawn into the match.
That golden cabin.
35%
Looks so good.
reduced
Golden
damage
blue.
taken in that shit. Damn.
Now, people were talking about it, but I don't know if anyone quite figured it out about the little teaser spoiler we did for Baba Yaga. Well,
yeah.
now that you see her using all these potions, maybe they get it. But actually, it was a really rare chance to trigger her laugh when you drank a potion.
Yes.
A lot of people thought it was different maps or stuff like that. I don't know if anyone actually connected it. It has to do with drinking a potion.
Yeah, I don't think anyone connected the dots. That was a really fun teaser, and I know people were like, I hear Baba Yaga randomly in game. I don't know where it's coming from, but I'm getting freaked out.
Yeah, you get 60% on this.
I also love the coloration.
So
on
like
the
max
mortar and
late
pestle.
game, if you're sitting
Oh,
at like
black and
800
gold.
power,
Legendaries are always my favorite. Black and gold is such a classic.
this will hit
color
hard as
combo.
fuck.
Even on the gods that have diamond, I tend to use these legendaries.
Yeah.
But, the diamond looks really cool for her.
Especially if it's
Nice.
scaled up, bro.
Definitely
you get
love the
7.
colors on
Imagine
those.
you have
And,
fucking
she's got a house made out of diamonds.
22%
Right?
more
Yeah, she's
damage.
Rich, huh?
So cool. And
Imagine
I mean,
this shit
you
hits
could
for
spend a lot of time
800.
just looking at this cabin. There's so many like little details on it,
Twice.
from like the weather vane.
Yeah, her
the
damage is gonna be
chimney
good. It's not gonna be
to, like, this
insane, I don't
little
think, but it's
side
gonna be good.
area, And like the kind of like pottery
Kind of-
and like the bones on the.
It kind of just matches what other mages are doing right now, I
there's
think.
just so
'Cause
much
she's
on
not,
this
remember, she's
cabin.
super, you're gonna die
Yeah.
on her.
Living, breathing
Your positioning's
character,
gonna matter
really.
on her.
Yeah, it's
That's
literally
awesome.
breathing.
It is so cool. Yeah, our entire concept team and art team really killed it with this cabin, making it feel, like it has its own personality.
Yeah,
in
it
game.
looks like she builds the
it's
meter in the
fighting
house really
alongside
slow.
Baba Yaga on the battleground.
Look at it, it's really slow.
Well, awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
Baba
cool.
Yaga. I'm sure people are going to be stoked to play her on PTS when it goes up on Friday, right, Isaiah?
Yep, we are shooting for PTS to be live on Friday. Be sure to keep it
play
locked
some
on our
PTS
official
then.
social media channels. We'll be sure to let you guys know when it goes up. We're definitely looking forward to seeing you guys get your hands on the Witch of the Woods. But the show's not over yet. We've got a live Q&A that is headed your way.
Oh,
Thanks
thank
so
you.
much for tuning in for the Baba Yaga.
All right, that's everything.